Today we have a very special guest, Rustam Red Rakimov. He is actually all the way from Mongolia originally, and he came over here to share his story on his journey to becoming an entrepreneur. He's an entrepreneur already, and I'm not going to share all the juicy details just yet, but he came from a very unique background, and I want to share his story to really show people how grateful they should be in their lives today if you're living in America. So, Rustam, or I'm going to call you Red because that's what I know
Yes,
you as.
please. Yes, that's very
Red,
easy.
can you tell the people a little bit about yourself, of what you do now, and then we're going to get into like your origin.
Yeah.
But what do you do now?
Yeah, good question. First off, thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
So what I do now? Well, thanks to you, I got into real estate just recently, about 3 months ago. So now I'm fully focusing on establishing myself as an entrepreneur in the real estate industry. And having Justin in my life recently really helped me to accelerate. And to be honest, just literally 2 days ago, less than 48 hours ago, I got under contract on my very first deal, which I'm very stoked about it. So again, thank you very much. So yeah, if it comes to for today, yeah, I am focused on real estate. I do have some side hustles going on the side as well, which help me to pay the bills, like basic bills, groceries, and all of that. Which that allows me to fully focus on real estate because I know there's a lot of people trying to do W2 jobs and do it along the way with the real estate, which is great. And I know a couple of people who really do it very successfully. But I like to help a lot of people around me build wealth and ultimate financial freedom through real estate. And that's why I'm only focusing on real estate as of right now.
Awesome. Awesome. So before not just real estate, but before entrepreneurship in general, like
Yeah.
before you got into your other things, your other entrepreneurial ventures, what were you doing like as life?
Yeah.
And like where were you at? And not because I know you're not from the USA.
Yeah.
Like walk me through your origin.
Um, so I've been doing a lot of stuff. I went to 3 colleges, three completely unrelated industries, right? I've been in med school for 5 years, and then I tried law school for a year and a half. And at the time, I was in a professional fighting career. So I also went to sports management school, which only lasted 6 months. I got super bored and I thought to myself, this is absolutely useless. So I quit immediately. Law school wasn't for me. I'm not the person who loves arguing on a professional level. Um, so it wasn't something I wanted to pursue as well. And then the med school, uh, uh, the moment I learned the system, how actual medical industry works, no matter whether it's here, which I went to college here as well for a bit. Uh, it wasn't something that I wanted. I couldn't become a part of the system, and in a lot of cases, it's a broken system. So the moment, literally the second year since I moved to United States, that was in 2016 when I moved here. I decided to bring value to the marketplace to people around me through entrepreneurship. Uh, so yeah, going to 3 schools, working different industries like restaurant business specifically. I was into just fully convert my theory that I cannot be part of the system, and I like to live a life and create a life on my terms, and that's where entrepreneurship entered my life.
Gotcha. So you were mainly coming from school, and then it would jump to
Yep.
entrepreneurship. So
Yeah.
what was that first venture? What was the first thing you did?
The first thing I did actually was at this point 4 years ago. Um, so Turo was becoming super popular, like Airbnb for cars. And at the time, I moved from San Diego to where I live now, Spokane, Washington. It was a very small market for Turo, but it was a bigger market in California. Um, so I decided, let's be one of the first people who does it in Spokane, Washington. So when I signed up for Turo, I was actually the host number 4 ever to
Wow.
join Turo. So there was literally 4 cars on the platform. No one knew. Even today, like locals still don't really know what Turo is. 99% of my clients and renters are actual out-of-state people. So at this point, I'm the most rated host in my market with over 400 five-star reviews. And anytime I list a new car on my fleet, my car automatically goes up. I don't have to market it. I don't really have marketing budget even for it. So
Wow.
it just happens magically just
That
because I was one of the first.
now was that a business choice choosing Spokane, Washington as your first place for Turo, or was that just where you ended up living and you're like, oh, let me just
Yeah.
try here? What was that situation like?
So before I chose Spokane as my uh, new home, right, where I decided to settle and put the roots down, I did travel to 24 states. So I lived in several places throughout the country. Like on the East Coast, I spent quite some time. I spent a lot of time in Boulder, Colorado, and then I lived in San Diego. And I've been taking a lot of road trips, just actually seeing everyday life in bigger, smaller cities. So living in on the East Coast, I decided East Coast is not something that I want to have for a long term. The mentality, the condensity of people, it's just super busy. Everything's too close. There is no personal space really. Um, but being on the West Coast, it's just I decided this is it. I love West Coast. I just need to find a place where I can build my financial base easier. And since California is a super expensive place, I just couldn't do it there. It was a hard start, and I was brand new person in the United States. So I took a road trip from San Diego, Highway 1. It was absolutely gorgeous drive. I was about 17 days on the road, just stopping by in every major or smaller city along the way. And I traveled from San Diego all the way to Missoula, Montana. So eventually there was three choices for me. I picked Salem, Oregon, Missoula, Montana, and Spokane, Washington. It was perfectly sized cities with small town vibe to them. They're pretty affordable. So Salem, I didn't like the weather. It was always wet and gray and depressing. Missoula was kind of too far from it, and Missoula is actually a super expensive place. Um, and it was kind of far from some major cities like Seattle or Portland, where I'm at now in Spokane. Spokane seemed to make sense to me at the time, and I think I did a pretty good choice with it because Spokane, since then, a little over 5 years ago, basically doubled in sizes, and it's been on the top three fastest growing city in the nation last year.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow. And I really wanted to touch more on when you first came here to the
yeah,
US. Like a lot of people listening, you hear someone coming from out of the country,
yeah,
going into entrepreneurship, crushing it in the Turo business as the first venture. A lot of people who live here are scared to do that. So,
hmm.
what was it like for you coming to America? I'm sure it couldn't have been super easy. Like, how was that
Yeah.
journey like and into transitioning just to living here and then going to entrepreneurship?
Yeah, that's a great question. I didn't see a real hardship coming here, even though when I landed at JFK in New York, right, that was my very first step onto American land. All I had with me was a small suitcase, a few stuff with me, a small backpack with my paperwork, and $50 in my pocket. That was it.
Wow.
Like I had $50, a suitcase, and just a big dream. This is America, the land of opportunities, right? That's how it's been for the last 400 years, and it's still like that today. You don't see people line up to get into Bangladesh for some reason, right?
Hmm.
It's all about America.
Hmm.
So to me, the moment I got here, it's just I saw so many great opportunities, great people, great culture, everything that I lacked in my country. Americans today, even today, right? They, in my country, for instance, we don't even have 10% of what Americans have here. Me growing up, I didn't even have the simple luxury. Well, Americans don't even call them luxuries here, like electricity, for instance, or warm water, right? A gas, whatever. Like we didn't have like basic proximities like that, basic comforting proximities. So coming here, obviously, I saw all of these opportunities, and people make a lot more money. People just so spoiled to all of these opportunities that the moment I saw them, right, I obviously started take advantage of those. But more I started seeing them, and more I started getting to know Americans and meeting those people. Great people helped me a lot along the journey, and still help me a lot. I realized that actually locals, Americans, don't see those opportunities. They perceive them as like, well, it's supposed to be like that. And in the last couple of years, since I've been doing pretty good, right? Um, they say if you have 5 or 10, not don't quote me on that, but if you have like extra $5,000 in your pocket and you don't have any debt, right? Bad debt like student loan or credit card loan, you're top 10% of Americans financially, which to me is pretty insane because that's not that much to be top 10% apparently. But talking to so many different people, and I constantly evolving as far as my environment goes, because I'm constantly looking for like-minded people. And as I grow, um, my environment changes because a lot of people just, in my opinion, not catching up to my standards, my goals, my vision, and that's why my environment constantly changing. And this is another change that is happening to me lately. In the last 3 months, my environment changed 95% again, and I'm so stoked about it. And again, those people who still, I love every person that helped me along the journey since I moved here. But some of them would come to me and ask, "Hey, man, like, how are you doing this? Like, how come you're not struggling, working 9 to 5? How come you're traveling as much? How come you're buying all these cars, for instance?" And not to offend them, but the question I would have them like, how are you not doing all of these and seeing all of these opportunities? Um, I think our brain um, built the way that it only sees fear and com- and looking for complaints about what you lack rather than what you should be grateful for on everyday basis. That is the problem that we have in today's spoiled American culture, right? That's what actually stops people from achieving whatever they try to achieve. Most people focus on things that they lack rather than things that they have. And I think when it all starts with, I respect Thomas Jefferson, for instance, so much, but I think he really screwed and cursed American generations by one statement, his famous statement, right? Love, liberty, and pursue of happiness. I think if you pursue happiness, you never end up being happy. I'd rephrase it today: love, liberty, or life, liberty, and expansion of happiness. You start happy and you expand from there. If you do not start happy, you're never going to get to happiness because happiness is not a destination. It's a progress that you make along the way. It's every step you take towards whatever dream you have. Um,
That's fascinating, actually, and it's fascinating because it's coming from you who has come to this country and then seen the phrases that we've used as Americans.
yes.
Uh, I never even thought about that, but it's so true. It's an interesting
Yeah.
point because when you think of the pursuit of happiness, you are thereby saying that you are not happy right now,
No.
and you're trying to achieve it. So when you
Yeah.
ask a lot of people, entrepreneurs or just people in general, what's your goal in life? They're like, the goal is to be happy. And it makes you beg the question, are you not happy right
Yeah,
now?
exactly.
Or so I think that's super fascinating that you even mentioned that. But what I'm curious about is coming here or in general, where did you always have that entrepreneurial itch? Because a lot of people, how you mentioned earlier, when
Uh-huh.
you talk to them and they don't have that drive, they don't see the piles of gold laying around them and
Yes,
take
sir.
advantage of opportunities. Why do you think you have that versus why other people don't? Is it something ingrained? Is it something you learned from parents, or where's that from?
Uh, Definitely. I don't think you're born with it, right? So coming from martial arts background, and I've been doing it since I was 9. I'm super grateful for my coaches and my senseis. The one thing that they really, really, really taught us that's still serving me to this day is the discipline. Um, Discipline to focus on today, discipline to be mindful, discipline to be grateful, discipline on taking necessary steps to get where you're trying to get, right? And just one, that skill, I think, really, really helped me, still helping me today. And there's only two really big skills that I've been focused on and still am to this day. And it's one of them is being disciplined, and second is being courageous. Discipline and courage, what really helped me to get here and still helping me to keep working on my journeys and my goals. And I keep working on them every day. It's a never ending journey. Keep being disciplined. I mean, it's like going to the gym, right? If you can you can stop going to the gym, you know it's beneficial. But if you stop going to the gym, you're not going to get the benefits. Same with discipline. Um, if you don't have the ritual, you don't have the things that you're supposed to do to keep you uplifted in order for you to keep going and get rolling, right? I don't think you're going to be able to do the things you're trying to do.
Right, right. And I want the people to know who are listening to this podcast
Yeah.
that Red's being very humble. He said, like, I came from a martial arts background. This man was a professional fighter across in different countries, different areas. So this he could put me, I don't know, he could strike me, choke me, like right now. Like he's being very modest. But what he's trying to say, and I think I agree with you completely, is that if you want to achieve anything in life or be good at something, all you really need is the discipline and you need the courage to do the stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sure with fighting and there's a lot of other things, but with your fighting background, the discipline you learn is from like training the techniques and then mastering yourself, your
Yeah.
emotions. Whereas the courage comes from, well, you have to step in rings with people and
Yeah.
like get hit and you have to have the courage to do so.
Yeah.
And I think this is a big belief of mine that anyone who has succeeded in any type of other industry or place before, if you've had success in one area, you probably understand discipline and courage,
Yeah.
and you can apply that to whatever you are trying to do now.
Yeah.
So that's why I think a lot of fighters, good fighters, or a lot of good bodybuilders or fitness people often see success in other things they achieve.
Yes.
Military people I've seen do really well, but
Yes, sir.
people have crushed somewhere else earlier in their life, and so that's what I wanted to touch on terms of your martial arts
Yeah,
experience.
because it takes the same patterns, right?
Yeah.
Why do we have so many great businessmen coming from pro athletes, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so we don't even have to
Yes.
name them. They're all over, and they financially doing much better
Mm-hmm.
than they were at being professional athletes. But they just literally applied the same techniques, same mindset onto their business ventures now.
Yeah.
That's why they're super successful.
Yeah. And a lot of it's like you learn that to achieve success in one area, you learn that you have to do stuff regardless of how you feel. Like when you don't
Yeah,
feel like it, you do it anyways. When you feel like crap, you still make your basketball shots or you still have to do your strikes, practice the
exactly.
kicks.
I think it's more important to do those things when you feel crappy, when you feel sick, because it's easier to push forward when you feel great. Everyone can do it when everyone feels great.
Mm-hmm.
Is it easier to do it when you feel crappy and you feel sick and you feel weak? No, it's harder, and that's what gives you the growth, right?
Right.
Yeah, and that's what I've been aspired to do every day, And all of us go through certain dark moments in our lives. And if you perceive those moments as a gift rather than a pain, right? Or you perceive the pain as the inspiration to move forward, then you have the breakthrough, and that will give you the results, the success, the achievement you were working on so hard.
Right, right. Now, even though we just mentioned that discipline and courage are extremely important to
Yeah,
get success in any area, for someone listening to this, because keep in mind, this podcast, these people listening, they're entrepreneurs trying to grow their business.
yeah,
They're not fighters. Maybe they are, some of them.
yeah,
How would they train discipline and courage? Like maybe you can kind of enlighten me from your experience with the
yeah,
martial arts of how you train discipline, how you train courage, and how other entrepreneurs can apply that to their own lives and
yeah.
businesses.
Yeah, let's break down the discipline,
Yeah.
right? If today I would start over, and I would obviously study those people who are super disciplined, super successful in the areas you're interested in, right? It is very important to pick role models and just do what they doing on a smaller scale in the very beginning. You never want to start big because starting big. It's gonna take you willpower, but willpower doesn't last. You have to integrate it into your identity, right? And if you start small, those incremental changes that you do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, monthly basis, gonna create this massive change that you were after. So you start small, pick the role models, measure everything you do, right? I journal in the morning and I literally put some of my thoughts that I have that morning right after meditation because you clear your mind, you center yourself. Now you have a better picture of what your day or week or year even looks like, and you put it on the paper. Or if you're going through some adversities in your life, it is so useful and helpful and incredible to put your negative thoughts on piece of paper because now you actually see what you're depressed about because sometimes it's kind of laughable that this thing or that person actually bothering you to the extent where it's literally blocking you and your ability to feel happy. So yeah, journaling actually absolutely helps. That's where I would start training my discipline literally every morning. Get the piece of paper and write down whatever you think is going through your head or your goals, whatever. If you don't know what to write and you have no idea where to start, which probably a lot of people would struggle with it, I would literally write down um, five or even one. Start with day one. Just write down one affirmation. I do not believe in affirmations because your physiology is not involved, really. Your body is not involved. So I practice incantations during the cold shower when it's really painful. Just, go just like this. I am focused. I am determination, hitting my chest and feeling the pain, but it is it is the great feeling, the pain of discipline because the cold water hitting you and bunch of dopamine are really releasing into your blood. It just feels so free and powerful and inspiring. Literally doing that for about 45 seconds or a minute or so, going through 10 incantations, repeating like two, three of them at a time, really helps me. But literally simply by writing down something like I am power, I am focus, right? I am discipline, wherever you're trying to be at the moment, even that will change your mentality, and you're gonna see those little incremental changes if you keep doing it. The discipline, not to just start, but discipline, a lot more important to be consistent about your little implementations.
Right. No, I think that's a great description or idea or teaching on discipline. What I wanted to touch on is you mentioned something very briefly, but I wanted to really explain this. So you mentioned how you'll let your negative thoughts out on a piece of paper, like the
Yes.
emotions and how you're feeling. Now, a lot of people out there view emotions as good or bad, like different kinds. So some
Mm-hmm.
people see happiness as good, some people
Yeah.
see sadness as bad,
Yeah.
anger as bad. They can be,
Of
but I
course.
think they're just part of the human experience. And I think this especially goes for men. Some men, I think, most men feel emotion certain emotions way differently than the women out there. So
Of course.
I don't think women truly understand what kind of rage we can feel as men. There's a
Yeah.
lot of testosterone in us, there's anger, but if you can find a way with whatever you are struggling with in life, because I know a lot of entrepreneurs are out there who are just struggling in general, or angry at the world, angry at themselves. If you can just channel that anger, sadness, depression, whatever you feel, into something positive of what you're trying to achieve,
Yeah.
whether you're trying to build a brand or grow a business, I think it's extremely powerful because for me personally, some of the most angry times in my life, I've just channeled that into grow a certain thing. For example, there's been times where I see a picture of myself, and I was like, "Whoa! Like I've gotten fat. Like how could I have possibly
Yeah.
let myself hit that?" And it makes me so angry, first sad, and then angry, and then it
Yeah.
becomes okay. I can't just sit here. Just like I can feel it. I feel the rage, but I'm gonna push it into okay. I'm gonna go to the gym every day, take it out in the weights. I'm
Yeah.
gonna take it out in the food, eat the good foods, and it's just like you channel that stuff. But how I think it's really important for you to at least be self-aware of
Of
the
course.
things you're feeling, whether you're a woman or man. I just think I just wanted to bring the genders because I think we feel certain things different than
Yes.
women.
I completely agree
Yeah.
with that. Yeah. And how to have that self awareness, right? We are in today's world, especially with all of the social media and so many distractions that we have on a on hourly basis of every day, right? It is super, super hard to focus on yourself and what you go through because there's so many distractions all around us. Literally in your pocket, there's just a huge, huge pile of distraction. So it's really easy to get lost in your negative emotions and not be aware of them. But in the long run, it's really gonna kill you basically. So how do you do that? So first thing in the morning when I wake up, I have a rule of not touching my phone for about 15 minutes or so at least. The single thing I do is I play my meditation playlist and I just go into this trance mode. I self aware of my feelings immediately. I center myself, just be mindful about my feelings at the moment, how my body feels, and I just meditate. Meditation is such a broad um, uh, word, right? And I'm not going to be able to tell you how to meditate. There's so many different practices you can go about and learn how to meditate, but it is something that I worked on, and my meditation could be completely different from meditation that you might learn on YouTube or whatever, or from your friend who's been meditating. But it doesn't matter how you meditate. It matters that meditation actually helps you to center yourself, be mindful about your thoughts and your body, and just work on things that needs to be worked on right now.
So how do you utilize meditation? Because for me, I've tried a lot of different things in
Yeah,
general for like morning routines or things to add to my days.
yeah,
Meditation was one of them. And I've tried to use different types, whether you're just sitting quiet or listening to a
yeah,
guided practice or whatever it was. And at the end of it, I ended up just taking it out of my routine because I found other things have helped me personally
yeah.
better. Like exercise is a big one for me,
Of course.
but everyone's different. And that's what I think I want to touch on is a lot of people hear gurus or influencers online saying you should
Hmm.
do this, 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 and this, like for your
Yeah,
morning routine every single day.
yeah.
But the truth is, they got to that place because they probably tried a lot of different
Of
things
course.
and they found the things that work for them and they just share what works for them. So, how do you use meditation? Because it's something that I'm kind of considering now
Okay.
as you're saying that.
So my meditation consists of three parts. It's about 15 minutes long. So I used to use guided meditation. I'm a big fan of Tony Robbins. So his meditation called priming actually. So that's what I basically do. But now I do it without his guide. All I need. Sometimes I do it mostly time. Most of the times I'm actually doing it in complete silence. Now I train my brain to focus and I can do it without music, right? Sometimes I do it with if I feel like I need a music, I do it with the supportive music. But it's three parts. About first 5 minutes, I'm just starting with the power, about 15 power breaths to bring the awareness, physical awareness, to my body, especially after waking up. Right, we been having the shallow breathing kind of thing, and now right after wake up, you breathe in a bunch of oxygen. Now your body awakes. Actually, you feel your body a little better. So I do about 15 power breaths, and then I just put my hands on my lap and just relax for about 5 minutes. Close my eyes, and then I picture this. Like, I don't know if a lot of you believe in soul. I do. So in my soul, I have a color for it. Even it's pinkish, goldish, kind of flowing energy field kind of thing.
Hmm.
So that's how I perceive my soul, and I just close my eyes, and my soul is flowing through my body, and all I'm doing is literally focusing on different parts of my body, how it feels, what what the air feels like, right? And I just breathe, sit, and very calm. So that I go for about 5 minutes like that. I'm fully self-aware right now, fully mindful about my body and my soul. And then second part would be connecting my soul with the universe. So I literally, with another 3, 4 power breaths, now super deep breaths, I go and uh, breathe in and bring the universe's energy into my body. And I had several injuries throughout my career, sport career, right? And then recently I had an injury as well. So I literally send that powerful universe energy into the parts of my body that needs healing, and also I heal my negative emotions as well. I forgive myself, forgive others through that energy. It's literally cleansing my body, my thoughts, my mind, um, and I send it back to the universe. So that energy now, in my mind, converts into positive energy.
That's interesting.
So I do that for about 3 times, and then I take another breath, and I focus it around um, around my chest here, and I send it to people that I care and love, or some people that I met yesterday or a couple of weeks ago that needed some kind of healing, some kind of recovery. So I sent that energy to them. So I give.
Gotcha.
Usually, I picture my parents, obviously, my brothers, because I haven't seen them in such a long time, and also my friends, like whoever pops in my head. And to me, it's like that's serendipity. That's my gut telling me these people need help. So I send them that positive energy, healing energy, and I connect with them.
I like that. That's interesting because I feel like, first of all, I feel like that probably gives you a nice way to wake up.
Oh,
Like for me
yes.
personally, uh, sometimes I'm not. This is something I'm learning and I'm struggling with.
Mm-hmm.
Is sometimes a big goal of mine is when I wake up is literally just to get right up out of bed and then go because the workout's the
Yeah.
first thing I typically do.
Mm-hmm.
But on occasion where I wake up groggy and tired for whatever reason, I'll just wake up and I will grab my phone and then just kind of like lay in bed sideways looking at whatever messages or something. Like I'll start my day kind of poor in that
Yeah.
sense. And so I feel like when you discipline yourself like that and force yourself, okay, don't touch the phone, be myself, be aware, be meditative, I think that can for sure
Yeah.
help. One thing I want to also talk about and kind of make a pivot
Uh-huh.
is if you were to go back in time,
Yeah.
back to when you were starting your journey into entrepreneurship, like for that person in that kind of position, what advice would you give yourself in terms of maybe two things that could really have helped you progress so much faster than you actually did? Because a big part of podcasts is learning from other people's mistakes and what they
Yeah.
wish they would have done. So, what would you have done, or what would you have told yourself to do?
So I every year, besides setting goals for the whole year, right? I pick a word that would be determining for the whole year. So, for instance, last year's word was selective. So I was selective about things I do. I was selective about people that I hang out with. I was selective about what I eat, how I spend, my time in between work or workout, whatever. So I was mindful about selection of quality things, quality life, quality people in my life. This year, I'm focusing on focus. That's my word for this year. So if if I had the ability to go back and get one advice, I would say to myself, pick one thing, because I tried so many different things. I was trying to, I always had this fear of missing out, FOMO, right?
Hmm.
And that's why I was doing all these things, because I thought we'll live just once.
Hmm.
Let's try them all. But now, if I had the ability, like I said, I would say focus on one thing, become super successful in one thing, and then go try other things. So that's what I'm doing now. So that's why I'm picking real estate, and I'm focusing on one thing, and then there's so many other things I'd like to try. But it's coming from financial freedom, then doing those things, I think I'm gonna have more impact doing that later when I have the success in one industry, rather than I've been doing it thus far, doing little things here and there, but not really focusing on one thing that would bring me the ultimate success.
That makes sense. And I think
Yeah.
you might not realize it, but by you giving that advice to yourself or that young entrepreneur to just pick a word for the year and essentially focus on that for that year. I know you said like this year you're choosing the word focus, maybe the previous year you chose selective, but I think why it really matters that you're selecting that word is that no matter what the year is, no matter what your word is, you are picking focus in some sense.
Of
Like
course,
you're
always, yeah.
focusing really hard on being selective with your time. You're
Yeah.
focusing really hard on whatever your word is. And focus brings all the good stuff in life.
Yeah.
There's been times in my life where it was mainly when I was starting the journey into entrepreneurship where I was very unfocused. I was doing multiple things at once. I was doing realtor work, I was a personal trainer, I was working as a banker, an accountant, and a loan
Wow.
officer. Like, this is all at the same time,
Yeah.
too. I was
Jeez.
looking to buy real estate at the same time. My first rental I bought during that time. But I was never super successful in one area. I was just kind of
Yeah.
spread out, making money
Yeah.
in all of them, but just so spread out.
Mhm.
And it was until I said, I'm going to cut the training. I'm going to quit my bank job. I'm going to cut the realtor work and I'm just going to focus on the real estate investing.
Yeah.
That's when things started to compile is because I had focus.
Yeah.
It became so much easier to achieve whatever I was trying to achieve
Yeah.
because of the focus. So I think that's excellent advice that you'd give yourself um, back in time if you were to go back in
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. That's definitely what I would advise myself. I'm still pretty young, so now I'm doing it now.
Yeah, no, exactly. And honestly, that's a big
Yeah.
part of this. That's why I like having conversations like this. It's just
Yeah.
no matter who you are, everyone has a story to tell. Everyone has experiences or mistakes that other people can learn from.
Yeah.
And that's really why I wanted to share your story. So I really appreciate you coming
Of
out here,
course.
man.
Thank you.
For the people who are trying to connect with you and want to learn more about you, where can they find you?
So I'm pretty active now. So I'm taking your advice to
Yep.
be a lot more active on Instagram, right? So if you find me on IG, it's red.rustam. So I might rename it because I want to associate it. I want to be associated with real estate now. But for now, still, if you just type in Red Rustam in the search bar, you're going to be able to find me. And then on Facebook, I'm also Red Rustam. Um, so it's pretty easy. I've been posting a lot of stuff on my stories now, so I've been getting some interest, and I'm very excited to start my social media content going as well. Yes,
Sweet. I'm
sir.
super excited for you, man. And also, if there's one last message you can share with the world, like if you were to leave the world with one message, the people here with one message, what would that be?
I would quote Tony Robbins: "Secret to living is giving." Um, I'm not gonna say I've been a giver. I am now a giver for the last at least 6 months or so. I've been giving a lot, and the amount of it has nothing really to do with money, right? But the amount of people were contributing back because I've been giving, advices, some help, even books recommend because I read a lot now. The amount of reciprocation I got from people is just immensely, immensely huge. And yeah, if I can tell you guys one thing, just go out there, put yourself out there, and just give, give, give. I'm not a big shot just yet, but I know for sure that you have one little thing to give. It's actually part of my morning routine. I have a must thing to do every morning. It literally says, encourage a stranger. Usually I do it at the gym. I love talking to strangers and just complimenting them on whatever they do. Or some people might need, help. There's a bunch of newbies at the gym as well. So that's part of my routine, and that's part of my giving first thing in the morning as well. Encourage a stranger. Even by encouraging a stranger, you're still giving a lot. If you, by one or two phrases, can completely change the day of the stranger and make his day or her day, that you already did a lot. So it starts very small. Changing the world starts literally by doing one little thing at a time.
Awesome. Well, I love that message, man. Just give, give, give. Don't forget to give to everyone. Be kind, because that's a little bit, it's pretty similar to my overall message as well,
Yeah.
and I love that. And like you said, if you want to connect with Red more, you can find him on Instagram at red.rustam. It might change, but you can also find him on Facebook as well. So hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you, Red, so much for being on.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Thank you.
you a ton, man, and peace.